What you doing picking in them people's windows?
It's another edition of For the Record with Brian Westbrook. That's Brian Westbrook. Doesn't have a hat on today. I don't know why.
Because you're wearing a hat.
Well, you didn't know that ahead of time.
One hat on set at a time, and you're wearing the hat.
Okay. I'm wearing the hat. I'm Eitan Shander. But
Roxy's not wearing a hat. That's good.
Correct.
That's a good start.
I was actually thinking about wearing one today, but I didn't.
Crystal doesn't have a
I
hat.
have all
Her
this
hair
hair
is
on
too
top of
nice.
my
Crystal
head.
has the curly hair out, which
Right.
has me looking. You're looking absolutely beautiful today.
Thank you.
Little neckline and everything. What about
No,
me?
I try.
And you, Jeff.
The neckline.
You're awesome, brother.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Are we comparing necklines with Jeff and
Necklines.
Crystal? Or?
You
There
don't
we
have
go.
a good neckline.
You got to turn and show your
No.
profile
Oh,
right here.
I got to work on that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Now, speaking of necks.
What?
Next or next?
No, necks. My man, my guy, my favorite NFL player who was dealing with some neck issues.
Listen to the transition.
Carson Wentz.
Now, Carson respond. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna rip him on that. You get a little. What is that? Lubriderm or something like that. You know, whatever that is.
Well, you should know, right?
Anti-itch
Yeah,
cream.
yeah. I've had it before.
Trust me, that thing goes away the day Nick Foles gets traded.
Well, that's what I was
around.
saying, right? The whole reaction to it. But Carson did respond to the article. He had a press conference, right, where he was speaking to reporters about it, Jeff.
Yeah. It sounded like they just put him in a room with, maybe like 5 or 6 of the beat crew and had him do damage control. And that's what it basically was, damage control.
So he basically said that some of the things in the article are true. A lot of them are true.
Yeah, I think that was the most, I guess, the pertinent thing you take out of it is that it's not like he sat there and said, this is all a bunch of
deny
hogwash, it's
it, right.
crap. And I think that's, even if he does think that, it was probably a coordinated effort between him and the team. And even if it's not, it's just good for his image to come out and say, you know what, this is out there about me. It's almost like the shoot the hostage theory from Speed, right? If I just admit to this,
Has
right?
everyone seen Speed?
So yeah, you've seen Speed, right? Keanu Reeves, right? And
I
his whole
have
idea is
seen
if
it.
you shoot the hostage, then they don't have any leverage
Right.
against you.
Have you
So
not seen Speed?
you've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were looking at him like, or he was looking at you like you hadn't seen it.
I always look at them that way because they're so much younger than me. So I have to make sure that, Speed and movies that
You
we
got
reference.
no respect for
I mean,
anybody
younger,
than you.
but like what my parents used to listen to was like old school Motown. Like I feel like I know more of the old references that
You
a
don't
lot
have
of
to
people
justify your
in my
existence
age
on
I'm
this
the
show
bracket.
last.
because you're
I am the
younger than
last
Jeff
person
Bezos.
on earth you
saying.
have to justify
I'm
yourself.
just saying.
To. So I think it's good that Carson basically came out and said, yeah, there are some elements to the story that are true, and it's probably good that he came out and said the bullying thing he felt was completely not true, that he never bullied.
Well, the
Grow.
bullying thing, I mean, you can look at a situation, you can look at an argument between two people and think that one person is bullying that one other person, and it may not be the situation. So
Right.
maybe
like
someone's.
in this podcast, you can listen many times and hear somebody bullying someone else. Or
Yes,
what you,
you
think,
guys are bullying
Brian.
me. Most of the time, bullies making fun of me. But yeah, I think you guys still love me.
But we're
though.
not allowed to wear hats?
No
Is that-
hat. Only one hat. But I mean, I think people probably saw that situation and thought it was something that it wasn't. I love the fact that Carson said also that he's been hurt pretty much all season long. He's trying to come back. He's trying to recover. And that probably changed his attitude just a bit too. I remember playing and getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning and being in the training room just trying to rehab all day long up until time to practice. Then you go to meetings and then you rehab more. That doesn't leave you with a good attitude. That doesn't leave you with a good personality. And I think Carson was dealing with some of that. And I think you're absolutely right. He took the bull by his horns and said, yeah, I was probably that way a little bit. And I think by admitting it, now he can start to move to not be that person any longer. That's pretty cool.
What was actually admitted to? I'm curious.
So he said that some of the article was true. In fact, that he could be selfish at times. He did think that he could be a better teammate. He did deny some parts of it. He said he doesn't know what the article was talking about when he said a veteran player came up to him and kind of G-checked him in the locker room, and that he had pushed back with some of the coaches. He said he didn't know where that came from. What I loved about it is like what you said. He grabbed the bull by the horns, but you have to also realize it was such a great PR move from him with his agent, with the Philadelphia PR team, himself just selecting a few beat reporters. And honestly, guys, there is no better time for it. Philly, like we said, we don't know where this like slight softness is coming from. Maybe because we have a Super Bowl ring. But when Alshon Jeffrey dropped that pass, we did not crucify him to the point that we would have in the
Like
past.
if Westbrook dropped the pass.
Exactly.
Right.
Like in
We
the
would've got
past
his ass
before we
right
had
out
a
of there.
ring.
Like
So
21 Savage.
For him to own up to it now is a great way to move forward at this particular time when Eagles fans aren't really as gung-ho about tearing their players down.
It kind of starts anew with the players, too.
Think about the way it was carefully coordinated by the Eagles, because you know that expression, don't protest too much, right? If they had done it in a regular press conference setting, where it's Carson at the podium, the entire media there, cameras and everything, then it's not just today's news and tomorrow's news. Every time in training camp, in OTAs, there's Carson Wentz, you'll see the same quotes recycled over and over. I'm not that guy. I didn't do that. This thing, by only inviting 6 or 7 beat writers, right, who are going to write a story about it, it's going to come out this week, you're not going to see it in the news cycle constantly. You're not going to hear things like, I am not this guy, or I did not bully Mike Rowe, to the point where people are then, because you know how we are in this city, calling up, I think he's lying. You could tell he definitely did something there, and he's just trying to cover it up. It literally will die.
Didn't the article mention about him going to Mike Rowe and having a conversation?
Yeah, he said he spoke to him that day. And and this is about turning around the narrative. He said, it's not true, we have a great relationship. And B, he said, Mike Rowe is a respected coach that nobody would even think to bully this guy. So it's not now about Carson. It's like, who would bully a great guy like Mike Rowe?
So he did admit to being selfish at times. And I think this is where the crux of the issue for me has always been, which is I always looked at it like a football thing. Selfish is not giving the running back the football, pulling it out, and throwing to maybe Zach Ertz in double coverage.
Is that being selfish?
No, and that's my point, Brian. Is I didn't look at it like a human being selfish. I looked at it as a quarterback being selfish.
I guess,
agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Stop the
We
show.
should go home. Show's over.
It's over.
See, last time I agree with you partially. Now I agree with you 100%. I would say off the field, he's probably one of the most unselfish people. Look what he does for his O-line, the guys that he really likes.
Yeah.
But when you look at the game, they said previously he thought he could be selfish, or these anonymous sources, because he scrambles a lot and the O-line doesn't like that.
Right.
But that's just the guy who loves football and he's trying to make a play. It might be selfish, but when he makes the play, everyone loves it.
Selfish seems like a weird word to say, to use in that situation, because he's not being selfish like, hey, I don't want you to have the ball. He's saying, I think I could probably help us more than running the football, or I think we can get into a better pass play than throwing the ball to Alshon. I'll just throw it to Zach Ertz. Selfish seems like a word that probably shouldn't be used in this situation.
You're being selfish as a player, as a quarterback, if you're only throwing to a certain player to get your stat level up. It's a high percentage completion. We talked about this. He was going through things. His back, his knee, trying to make this offense work. The idea that the guy behind him won the Super Bowl last year. And he admitted that in the response article, that he was going through so much that he wasn't playing like himself. And he admitted he was playing selfishly in ways that are human nature, human condition, not I just want to be out there throwing 55-yard touchdowns
Trying to
every play.
overcompensate.
And I think that's what we all said when the story came out. It's like, go look at Aaron Rodgers, go look at Russell Wilson, go look at Brett Favre.
Tom Brady.
All of them at some point have been criticized for either being selfish or not a leader or wanting to do this or hanging on to the ball. I mean,
We've
it
seen
happens.
Tom Brady screaming, cussing out Josh McDaniels on the sideline.
Oh, yeah.
Being a
O'Brien,
leader.
remember?
Being a
Big
leader.
time.
Bill
Right,
O'Brien?
Yeah. Who's that?
Remember when he went after Bill O'Brien?
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
sideline
yeah.
too. Yeah, and
That was bullying.
that's bullying.
That is bullying.
Do
That's
you
the
know
true
who I am?
Definition, absolutely.
Get
Like
your ass
Buddy
into
Ryan
Houston.
punching out Kevin Gilbride, was it?
Well,
on the
that was
sideline?
just total
But that's
dysfunction.
bullying. That's bullying. I mean, it's not like Carson Wentz was out there, inflicting violence on his teammates or coaches.
I'm
as
glad
long
he
as we know.
responded.
Yeah, and that's another reason
a really
why
good response.
I was rooting for the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Is I did not want to see Carson Wentz have another thing where it was like Jared Goff, or Goff now wins the number one pick, wins it all. So 2 years in a row, he would have had to see his backup win the Super Bowl, and then the guy picked ahead of him win the Super Bowl. And
So you were thinking about Carson Wentz.
absolutely,
Jared Goff.
I
stunk
always
in
think
the
about
Super
other
Bowl.
people.
And you know what, Brian? The biggest question going into the Super Bowl with Jared Goff is this like
Like
any
a referendum on
quarterback?
Carson?
Yeah, was this any quarterback system that Sean McVay runs that you can plug any quarterback in, or is Jared Goff really good?
Jared Goff, I mean, coming into the season, you're talking about, the Super Bowl, you're averaging over almost 33 points a game. For them to get 3 points, that's sad. I mean, that was, to me, a glaring a glaring miss by that entire staff. Certainly, they didn't look like they were ready to play. Jared Goff was absolutely terrible.
You bring up that, and I'm thinking in the backdrop of what you're saying. So one thing that McVay, we all know, has been able to do really well is this play clock. At 15 seconds, it cuts off. You can't talk to your quarterback anymore. But you line up ahead of time, and you take advantage of all that time. Hey, Goff, look at here. He's basically telling the quarterback what to do before he snaps the football, making it as easy as humanly possible. But what he tried, and this is where whenever you go up against Belichick, you always wind up screwing yourself. Because in order to combat Belichick, and Brian Flores, the linebackers coach, being able to tell the guys on defense, hey, line up here and counter it, McVay killed that and said, we're no longer talking to Goff before they go to the line of scrimmage. We're going to stay in the huddle. He took away the biggest aid to Goff all year to try and spite Belichick. And look what happened. Goff had to make throws he just couldn't make.
Yeah, he wasn't ready to play. And that's what happened. You're right. You know that going into the game, the Patriots are going to do so many different things that you have to kind of counteract that. Unfortunately, they overcoached themselves. They looked unnatural. The biggest thing for any athlete is to go out there and be fluid and just play naturally. Let my instincts take over. I don't want to be thinking. In that football game, you saw Tom Brady out there just playing. He's been there before. 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 he's now won. Jared Goff, and this happened to us when we played. We were robots. We were nervous. We were scared.
Right.
We weren't
forced it at the
prepared.
end.
Their experience.
Yeah.
Jared Goff looked like a guy that had no Super Bowl experience.
So to circle it back to Carson, off what you just said, like the psychological element of it, right? Playing free. I feel like him coming out and saying what he did, and I'm actually curious from Roxy's standpoint, because you deal with a lot of celebrities in the music industry, and they're all, I mean, you deal with people who beef with each other and call each other out or have their, you know, whether it's addictions or tendencies always put out there, and yet they'll come on, a lot of time they'll come on a radio station and they'll talk about it and they'll open up. And you almost see it's like catharsis for them. They're able to move on. Do you think like there's a relationship there between how we can view Carson and how maybe you've talked to people in the music industry who've gone through adversity or difficult times but then opened up about it on a station and copped to some of the things that were said about him?
It's 100% the same thing. I mean, it's just two different industries, sports and music, but they all go through the same human elements. I mean, beefing in music is the same thing beefing in sports. So it's exactly the same thing.
It's like the truth will set you free almost.
Have you noticed though that when people come and talk to you, like they leave like feeling like a weight off their shoulders? Like they came out and finally admitted it to the public.
It's like going to see a therapist,
Yeah, I
like a
was gonna say
counselor.
therapist.
Yeah,
right.
when they're willing to be open. Because there's still a lot of people that are not going to be open.
Well,
But
that was a good thing that Carson did, though. He was open and honest. Someone's like, hey, I am egotistical sometimes.
But I think in music, people are way more egotistical. Yeah. So when they try to get things out, it comes across the wrong way a lot of the times, and they end up looking worse.
You don't want to look vulnerable, especially if you're in an alpha setting, if you're male or female. You don't want to show
But here's the
vulnerability.
thing. You know, so there was a beef between Drake and Pusha T. What's his name?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The
And at
only
some
guy who
point,
beat
What's
him.
his name?
They resolved that, though, right? They resolved that. And
Did they ever?
They
don't
never
think they
resolved
know.
it. It just died.
Pusha just made better music.
Pusha makes better
He's
music
the
than Drake?
only one who beat Drake ever.
Really?
Because he's the one who outed.
Thank you.
But
He
there's been
outed about
some
Drake's son.
There's been some beefs
Oh,
that
yeah.
they've resolved, and like
Yeah,
at
Meek
some point,
Mill
like,
and
you know,
Drake.
Scale beef.
yeah, Meek and Drake.
Yeah.
It's like Steakum. It's beef is when people are getting killed. Like that hip hop day, those days are done.
Right.
Now it's just, there's back and forth. There's battles.
Well, but they still call it beef.
Right. They still call
Yeah.
it beef.
Like it was a couple of years ago now, but there was one between Mace, like all of a sudden comes out of the woodwork.
Where did he come from? Yeah.
And
That's PR.
Cameron, right? I know, but then
PR.
he went right on to the Angie Martinez show in New York the next day and had like an hour, and it was weird because I was watching it on YouTube, and the calmness. And again, he's a big
For
star.
Cam
so
or for Mace?
No, it was Mace explaining it. He had I think it was a diss track on Cam, right?
Yeah.
Because Cam, he thought was dissing him in a song before that. And the one thing that stuck out to me was the calmness, and not only that, but he honestly, what I assume is honestly, he went through and detailed everything that went up to it, and he even admitted to some of the things he did wrong and how it got that way. And it just was interesting to me. I felt like he walked out of there that day like, all right, I just laid it bare, and now I can go on.
He just felt like the better man now, too. But people viewed him like, oh, well, he bared his soul similar to Carson. And I think there was point in time where people were kind of not jumping off the Carson bandwagon, but they were edging
Sure,
towards
they were using that
the end.
story to fuel the
But I
narrative.
think now that he's come out and said it, they're back. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? He's just like us.
Do you guys feel more comfortable about Carson after this now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I like it.
Question for you, B. Like, you've never had like a, thank God, like a huge scandal. But have you ever felt like you bared your soul to the media to get a weight off of your shoulders?
This
In a
man never
football-
spoke to the media.
I'm
telling you.
In a football,
We tried.
But
Couldn't find him in the
in
locker
a,
room, man.
even in a Carson Wentz setting where it was like a very select few, like maybe just the reporters you trust.
No, I never felt like there were a lot of reporters that
So
you
if
could
I was in
trust.
the
There was
locker
one
room, you want
time.
to talk to me?
There was one time in which I remember, and you don't remember this, I'm sure you don't remember this, but it was like my second year. I was up in Trenton, and I was doing a show with Rob Motti of the Associated Press, the Rob Motti
Rob's the
show
dude.
with myself. And Rob, because he's AP, can get in anywhere. And we were in, I want to say, Boyko's office, and it was the three of us. And here I am, nervous as shit, because I'm sitting next to Brian Westbrook and the guy who brought me in there, and I'm just like, all right, don't screw it up, don't screw it up. But I remember, Rob and you had, and I was there as well, but there was a legit, it wasn't football, it wasn't just typical players speak. Like, you guys got into some stuff. Now, again, it wasn't you revealing personal secrets about yourself, because I don't think you've ever done that.
That's a good example. That's an example where Rob is a really decent guy, though. So a lot of people in Philly are
So
familiar.
it's my fault Brian never spoke
Yes.
to me.
A lot
Exactly.
of people are familiar with Rob Motti, and
Right.
they know his reputation around the city. They know he's a good guy. They know he's not trying to like destroy people's reputations just to get this story. He knows that.
It's true.
So since you never really like to talk to the media, and I wasn't reporting on the Eagles at that time, I was just really a fan. What did you do when the media, the media has a time in the locker room? Did you leave the locker room,
Hell
or did
yeah.
you, or did
I
you,
would
or did
always-
you give the like, I'm not talking to anyone?
No, I
face?
I would see
I would-
Darren Sproles disappear in a pile and then just pop out like
That's what
3
the
seconds
players
later.
do.
No,
that's what he did.
That's not true.
So you always leave when
I
the
would-
media comes in.
No, I always. So I had one day I would speak on a Thursday or something like that.
You had
and
a
I would,
podium day.
I would speak at the podium, and that was it.
No, I'm not talking about the podium.
At
I'm
my
talking
locker?
about the
You couldn't
locker
access
room.
No,
the
no,
podium.
no.
No, he did not
That's
hang
the
out.
thing.
These questions are better for us.
Doc,
Yeah.
Brian, you
I
couldn't
didn't-
access the podium. They had it on purpose where you could not access the podium. No. You got to talk to Brian when he's up on the podium.
Oh, you couldn't talk to him in the
Yeah.
locker room.
Well, I
like
used to do it
everyone
in the
else.
locker room. I liked doing mine at my locker, so I didn't have to
Right.
go through the going up and down the hallway. But they stopped me from doing that at the locker, so
Did
I had
you
to
ask
start
for it
going
to
to
be
the.
stopped?
No,
No,
I didn't.
no.
I'm sure the last thing he wanted was
You
like
give me
put in
like
front
a
of the
slick
podium.
smile. like,
Yeah,
you're like,
no.
He knew exactly what he was
There
doing.
were two types
know
of
what I
people.
mean.
That's right.
There's two types of people in the locker room. There's the players who have some echelon to them,
Right.
who want to be in front of the camera. I won't name names, but there were plenty of them.
Brandon
Brian's day.
Graham. He
Yeah,
always
that's
would
fair.
give
He likes
people-
being in front of the
he always
camera.
give people-
Brandon's
I was
really
thinking
good,
of your
too.
day
He's
too.
good.
Yeah. Darwin Walker always was
I
in the
feel like
locker
it's a good
room,
thing
right?
to say
He
that.
liked the camera.
I
Yeah.
appreciate players that do that.
And then there are the guys who don't have a name and would like to make one for themselves, so they're going
Right.
to be in front of the camera.
All right, so we're going to get a card coming up here, but we got a couple of things we want to hit to first. 21 Savage is out, and I think
It's out?
Explain,
well, he's-
explain out,
they're about to get his ass out of here.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
yeah,
Out of the country.
right.
literally.
He has been or is in the process of being deported at the time in which we are shooting this. And I don't know what your initial reaction was, Roxy, but social media was just dragging this man through the streets of Atlanta because of the misassociation he had claiming the streets ATO.
It was funny. I laughed. That's all I could do was laugh. I could not believe that no one knew he was from the UK.
You knew, right?
No, I didn't
you
know.
didn't know?
Nobody knew. He's been claiming
So he
Atlanta
pretended
forever.
that he was from Atlanta, but he's really from the UK.
Yeah, apparently
Well, no,
he overstayed
technically-
his visa.
How long was he in America for?
2005.
Okay.
I believe
So
he's
like
from
14
a
years.
country in the West Indies, right?
So from
Which is a territory of
2005,
the UK.
he's been here
And
illegally.
correct.
What? I didn't know that. What territory?
But you know what? If I went to
find
a
out.
foreign
Well, you
country,
should know this before me.
Morocco. I was just
I
in
know
Morocco.
UK, that's what I
and
heard.
I stayed in a lot of different cities, but I stayed in Marrakesh for 14 years. And then I start like this big broadcasting career or this big pop singer career. I'm gonna represent that city that I was there, because that's what the people know. They don't know anything about New Jersey
But
Don't know
he
anything
obviously
about
had to know that he
Philadelphia.
overstayed his visa.
Right.
He obviously had to know
He
he was
knew.
in the country illegally. So if you know that you're here illegally, you need to be on your P's and Q's.
And
Agreed.
probably shouldn't be a pop star.
He's getting
a rapper,
charges.
A rapper.
I mean, come on.
He knew, but his
Right.
fans, they needed to know that like he's down with the Atlanta hip hop hub. They didn't care about where he was from overseas.
They do now.
They do now that he's about to be deported.
So there was no sign that he wasn't from
Like, how did
Atlanta.
he hide the
It's
accent?
not like you got Instagram story of eating bangers and mash in the morning. Like somebody
But how
dropped.
did he hide the accent?
Wow.
I'm telling you, this
Should have
thing
known
is-
when dude was calling me mate.
This is like out of a movie. This is like out of some movie where you had somebody who is just uber successful to the level in which he has and hiding something. And then just write in the details of how it gets. But Roxy's right. Like, you want to be in here illegally, there are means and efforts to get here and do the thing, but there are plenty of people that are making their lives here illegally as well. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that if you are in here and choose to do that illegally, you can't be driving around catching charges.
No.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was misinformed. I have no idea of like the type of person he is. I'm sure he knew his visa was expired, but as a celebrity, I can only imagine it's an easier process than someone who's just an
Yeah.
average worker.
You would think
to
he would
get
get
it
somebody
renewed.
just to handle that. Like, hey, it's been 13 years, 14 years. I probably should get my visa renewed.
Right.
This dude had to
Okay.
be the biggest layup for ICE that there ever
Yeah.
was.
Who
They
was
were
that?
sitting
Yeah.
on his ass.
Right.
Yeah, but what's the? Let's ask this. What's the benefit? And let's start, Rox. Like, what's the benefit for lying day one? Is his career going to accelerate that much more being from, the new hub of hip hop in Atlanta? It's not like we don't see people coming from different parts of the world making it.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know. I think that being from the U.S., especially being from Atlanta, where hip hop is popping right now, probably makes it better. And in the UK, well, you said it's a West Indian territory. I don't know where, but all I knew was UK. And hip hop is not big in the UK unless it's underground. Like, you don't see hip hop artists in the UK thriving. So that's why they all come here to try to make it.
That's
He
where
was
he
trying
messed
to get
up.
street cred from
Right.
claiming
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
then.
That's what I think.
agree, and I
Man,
think there's a
He
difference.
should have been like Slick Rick, man. He should have brought the accent. He should have brought everything.
That would have been
UK,
different.
and that would have made him stand
But
out.
how many males are there like that out there? I mean, there is Rihanna. She's not trap, but she is from she's from Barbados, I believe, and she made it really big. But she's not like hardcore hip hop though. When you have someone who's trying to be hardcore hip hop and they're going to the hub of where hip hop is in the United States, I understand that he's trying to like fit in, because usually when you go abroad and you see people rapping, you're just like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't really care.
There have been UK rappers that have been featured on like US songs and they didn't go anywhere. Like
MIA, what's her name?
MIA.
No one in
Paper
the
Planes?
swagger like
That might
that.
just be because of her lyrics,
disappeared.
not because of her being from UK, right?
And what
She's
guys
actually
do you
good.
know? What guys do you know at all? I can't
Ted,
even.
there's a UK rapper
Can't
named
name a
Tiny
handful.
Temple.
Well, there's a reason why he claimed Atlanta, and he was successful. He's been successful
Yeah.
to some level, and
No, he
part of
has
that
been
part of that
successful.
probably is because he started in Atlanta and claimed. My issue with the kid is like, why don't you get the doggone visa extended?
that's it.
How hard could that be?
It's the easiest thing you can get
How
when,
hard
when
could
you
that
have
be?
somebody on your payroll.
So, Eitan, do you
Handle
have
it.
any deep, dark secrets like that?
Nope.
No, he's like the opposite. Everything about him is
It's
pretty much out there
open.
for public
Everybody
record.
knows.
It's
we got?
easier that way. Then I don't get caught in some sort of awkward situation. I preempt the awkwardness.
Just laying it all on the table flat.
Absolutely.
I
Right.
would love to
That's
see
a
what a
Carson
first
Wentz
date for you
theory.
looks like.
What's
Cut
that?
him off.
I would love to see what a first date for you looks
Maybe
like.
you know
Just lay
if
it
you
all
actually
on
went
the
up to him
table.
first. You
Yeah.
know.
First date. The biggest question I ask on a first date is how you order. If you eat steak, how do you order your steak?
And what tells you that this is a good woman or not?
Anything that does not have well in it,
If
Damn
it
right.
if it
Wait,
has
so you
well
don't
in
want
it,
well
then she's
done?
a good or bad.
I'm out.
Or
Anybody
medium
orders a
well or
steak
well
well
So
done.
you like your
Why?
rare,
They're
you
not
like your
doing it
women
right.
to
Man
order
will
it
never be
rare.
married
Rare
again. He'll never be
or
married in his
medium rare.
life.
Why?
Or medium. Or
So you
medium.
don't like black women.
No, that's not. Have you been down to the south?
Black women
I lived in
like
this-
it well and well done.
Yup.
Women of color.
That's a misnomer because I was in Nashville for 3 years, and every single person that looked darker than me was eating meat that looked
Where
pinker
were
than
you?
me. I was in
Nashville.
Nashville. I was in Alabama.
So if they want their steak well done, you're out on them.
yeah.
I'm
So you're
trying to
out on
understand your
women of color.
logic.
Why? But why?
Noted.
Because
This
they
is-
don't make good decisions. Because they
She gonna stab me.
They
in the
don't
back,
have good food
down my
preferences.
Listen, it may be a
Take that steak
stereotype.
knife and put it right in me. She knows how to use a steak knife. If
It
she
may
orders
be a
steak well done.
stereotype, but women and men of color like
but-
it. You like it well done,
I
or
do
you like
not.
it medium well?
I'm not a big fan of seeing the blood or steak.
Yeah, I don't get
moving
it
So you
rare.
like
plate.
it well.
But medium,
I like mine like medium well.
Okay,
Medium
well, you had
With
well
the
in there.
smallest.
I'm
of
medium
my
rare.
opinion.
Medium to medium rare.
that's what I'm saying.
Really?
Like, y'all wouldn't know
Yes.
the difference between a medium rare and a medium steak anyway.
Medium
I
well.
don't want my steak moving or bleeding.
I don't either.
At
I just don't
time
want
of
it
consumption.
crisped to the point at which I need to use a hacksaw to get in the middle of it. That's all.
Yo, you have some
me a-
strange
He'll never have a
logic.
girlfriend. He'll never have a
And I
girlfriend.
still don't understand your
I
logic.
hate to
Yo,
like
you might
break it
be-
to you people,
you
but like 75% of at least people I come across in America, regardless of race, religion, creed, or color, like their steak medium to medium rare, and will tell you that is a juicy tender steak.
And most
the
black
other way
people
is,
like it
you are
medium
making
well
these
That's a
to
sweeping
rash
well.
generalizations.
It is a generalization, but it's.
We're trying to like equality, you know,
I
make
know,
everybody
I know
equal,
you guys are
and
trying
you
to
want
be
to
very
bring that
politically
into it.
correct.
No,
I
not
understand-
at all.
life
I understand that, but
experiences.
I'm just telling you out of personal experience.
Right, which I'm
that-
saying as well.
Personal experience that a lot of my friends, family,
Mm-hmm.
anyone who is a person of color, I've not hardly ever, I'm not going to say never,
Mm-hmm.
had them ever say
I would agree with
rare
that. I
when
would
they
agree
order
with
a
that. I
steak.
think that's-
I
It's
think that's
medium
where,
to medium well to well.
But
always
medium,
Just
sort of an
saying.
urban suburban
medium
thing.
is not well, and that's what I said initially. And there are plenty of people that order their steak medium.
Medium well.
Now you're moving the goalposts.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. That's a terrible way to pick whether this girl is gonna work
Okay,
out.
you're
for you.
real.
Terrible.
You could be passing up
Like
on
one
the
of the
woman
worst.
of your dreams because she said medium well.
I probably
or well.
already swiped left on my soulmate, so I'm good.
You only get three soulmates
Is that right?
per lifetime. Yep.
Well, I haven't had
Wait,
one
wait,
yet.
what does that mean?
You
Go
only
ahead.
get three.
I-
You get three.
is
You only
that-
get three
Where
of the
did
great
that
ones.
come from?
Yeah, I'm
Sonny from
explain.
Bronxtown.
From Bronxtown, yeah. You only get three.
Oh,
You only get three.
Please, you were not
okay.
giving him credit for inventing
You
I
only
that.
get
didn't know. I
three.
wanted to know where it came from. I
But can you
forgot about
explain the
that.
logic though? Is it when you say soulmates, is it romantic soulmates throughout your whole
Chris, I'm
lifetime?
gonna just tell you right now. You've already passed up your soul. Three of them already.
By the
You've
time you were
already.
17,
You
they were
didn't want to
gone.
talk to them. They're out. You've already passed them
no,
up.
they come and talk to me. That's it.
See?
Yeah, but your soulmate might be looking like a little
He's a little shy.
A little shy.
He didn't want to come up to you
Next thing you
because
know.
some
I
men
don't
are
like shy
intimidated
people, though.
by beauty. Some men are intimidated by that.
But
and
opposites
successful women.
attract, right? That's what the magnetic things of a battery, right? So maybe your soulmate is opposite
We're
and
too
shy.
young to be shy. We're too old to be shy. Shy is for teenagers. We are in our 20s, 30s, 40s. Like that's
Yeah,
nah.
40s.
You do a lot of telling of people how they should eat, think, look, act, because
saying.
of
Specific
experiences that you
rules. I
had.
like
If you're
that.
Y'all come
still-
down
That's what
on
I
me
like
for
that
my
about
rules.
you.
You got rules too.
If you're still
Yeah,
super
but
shy
your
to talk to
rules
a
don't make
woman
sense.
in your 30s, I'm talking about 30s now. If you're still shy to talk to a woman or a man in your 30s,
What about they're not shy? They're
something
just
is wrong.
uncomfortable though. They're uncomfortable.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
talking
That's normal. Because if you see someone that you know you're attracted to and you get a little nervous,
I bet you
that's
if you
cool.
and Roxy walked into a room and there were 15 dudes there would be some dudes like, Roxy, she's on the morning show every morning. I'm a little bit intimidated. Crystal,
Mm-hmm.
she's on NBC all the time. I'm just not going to say anything to anybody.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm with Crystal on this one. If you too shy to come talk to me,
you miss 100% of your
intimidated.
shots
That's
that
what
you
I
never
don't want.
Well,
take.
that's what I'm trying to
Intimidated is
tell
what
you.
the problem is. Shy is not a problem. It's being intimidated. If I intimidate you, I don't need you to come talk to me.
Look at you though. You're always in people's
She's so
faces.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Exactly.
Very aggressive.
This is me. Like
Right.
I'm very loud. I'm a lot to handle. So if I intimidate you, there's a problem. You
Right.
can't handle me.
You got,
Period.
you got
She
three
says
great
that's her
ones.
head's
She
about to
just-
explode.
Left and right out here.
Hey, Tom, she has three great ones. She
I'm-
just knocked out two
all
of them.
I'm saying-
So she had one great one left.
It's okay to feel like a little bit nervous if you're talking to someone who you think is really pretty or really handsome.
Right.
But if you're so nervous to the point that you can't say anything at all and you're not a teenager, I would even give you early 20s. If you're in your late 20s to 30s and beyond, that's a problem.
Let me tell y'all the story. So when I was a little kid, right, we were in camp. And this is right when, you puberty, so you're starting to feel the girls a little bit. So we were all the camps in the area went to this amusement park. And I saw these two girls. They was checking me out. This is true. And so you see them throughout the day, throughout different places. And every time I saw them, they would check me out. So I was like, all right, I'm going to talk to them this time. I was shy. And I went to talk to them. And my voice came out and it was squeaky. It was like, and they just ran off. They started
How old were
laughing
you?
and ran off.
Last year.
Ruined me. I've been damaged by you women.
It wasn't by the women, it was by your voice.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes.
Like, did your voice crack or you just had
No,
like
it was
puberty?
squeaky.
How
it
old
was,
were you?
It wasn't normally squeaky because I was nervous. It came out squeaky.
How old were you, Brian?
I was probably like 20. No, it was I was 13, maybe 13,
Okay,
14.
your voice is not squeaky as someone in their 20s, late 20s, 30s, 40s.
I'm just trying to tell you, sometimes men are intimidated. You got to give them a little help. Sometimes give them a little pat on the back.
I agree with that.
It's okay for women to go up to men.
That's what the
But this
look
is
is
the thing.
for.
Women can't go up to men now.
No, you can. You can if that's what you want to
2019.
do.
Yeah,
you
why
can.
not?
Everyone can. I'm just saying what I
But
like.
not for you.
No, I'm just saying what I like.
3.
But this is the thing,
You only get 3 great
This
ones.
is the thing. If a guy comes up to me and he say he doesn't know me from anything, he just sees me, I'm typically the complete opposite than what he expected. So when he comes up to me, I've had guys say that.
Yeah, nice,
like
warm,
I was
welcoming.
I
Complete
was nervous to
opposite.
come talk to you, but you're like, they say just mad cool. That's the way to generalize it. Because I'm really easy to get along with. So if guys can just get past that initial fear, which it shouldn't be at this age. At this age, it shouldn't exist. You might have some like, oh my gosh, I'm a little nervous,
yeah.
but it shouldn't stop you.
I don't know. Crystal's like every grandma or grandpa I
Yeah.
ever met. They know everything, and you can't tell them shit.
Roxy.
No, I'm not even saying that.
Again,
I'm
I
just
feel like
laying it out for you.
I want to give them
It's
one
just
more
the truth.
warning. You only get 3 great ones. So y'all keep messing around. Y'all going to end up
Wait,
with a
so-
not so great one.
So in your life, have you had 3 soulmates?
Yep. No. I only have one soulmate.
Relationally.
Yeah, no.
Do you feel like obligated
He
to say
fixed
that?
real quick.
How fast
you-
did just
Hey,
backpedal?
look,
You said
no,
yes and
just
changed
one,
it.
just
So
one.
were you a
One, right.
cornerback
He-
or a
yeah.
running
Sorry.
back? That was a good backpedal
All
right
right,
there.
so next week we'll come back. We got a lot more stuff we'll dive into, but before we get out of here, we got another Would You Rather.
Yeah.
Roxy's got one, I got one. You want to go first?
Would you rather explain every app on your phone to a 100-year-old lady?
Or would you rather marry and divorce a new person every 6 months with no prenup? So
The
it takes
apps.
your millionaire ass out of the equation where you can be in here like us.
I
No prenups.
first of all, I explained apps to my mother, and she's not 100, and it's the worst thing ever. I mean, I'm talking about the simple stuff, FaceTime. I don't know how to FaceTime anymore. Like, we FaceTime yesterday. Have no clue how to FaceTime today. So I'm out on that app deal. And I'm going to tell you this. If you get married and divorced every 6 months, it may not be a bad thing.
I'm
Because you
listening.
get a new partner every 6
Yeah,
months. Is
you
that
get-
why?
I went through a
get-
stretch where I was
yeah.
engaged and de-gaged for like twice for like a year.
What?
Year and a half.
D-gauge?
Is that a term?
No wonder.
Is that like
you,
the
you're making
mid-nut?
up words?
Yeah.
Is that like the
D-gauge.
mid-nup? We got D-gauge? I thought it would have been
D-gauge.
outcaged.
You got engaged and re-engaged in the matter of 6 months?
No, not the same person. I was engaged twice in, I'd say, like a span of 2 years.
You fall in love too quick, man.
No,
Well,
first time.
you're
The
going to
first
fall
time
in love
was.
too quickly if you're getting married
Yeah,
every 6
you're the one
months.
advocating for my lifestyle.
Well,
But it doesn't
it's
say
like
that
it's like
you're
getting
in
a new
love.
car.
It
Right.
just says marry and divorce.
Right.
It's like
It's
a
nothing
lease.
about love.
Well, it kinda
Marriages should be like
insinuates,
leases
though.
anyway, right? Like
It's
every
like a-
couple years, you should have the opportunity to buy your current wife or return her and upgrade
Wait,
to a new
I'll
one.
let,
are
I'll
we
let y'all
living
handle
in?
it. Go ahead. I'll let y'all handle that.
It's
one.
like a lease, Crystal, right? You know what I'm talking
Wait,
about.
did you say
Yes.
buy your
Yes.
current wife?
Yes,
You,
he did.
you can,
Is
you
this the
can,
part where we
Okay.
put the disclaimer in that we don't condone?
Disclaimer:
or-
we don't
Right.
buy
It's
wives.
encouraged
Brian's
video.
Those are his
retweets
thoughts
not
of his
even
own,
endorse
right?
But
this.
this is the thing. I
God.
get it. But like you get a new partner every 6 months, and for like younger guys who love the single life, that could be fun. But when you put marriage on, then if you divorce, you'll have to pay her, what is it, alimony?
Yeah, you'll be
So
broke.
you have all these women that you have to pay alimony to. If you got her pregnant, you
You'll
have to
be
pay
broke,
child
but you
support.
may be happy. You may end up finding the right one.
All right.
Or
I'd
maybe
rather-
you're the broke one and you get the money.
All right,
I
which
will
one would you
explain
rather
the
do?
apps.
Oh, damn.
What you thought you were getting out of this one?
I think I'm doing the marriage and divorce.
Yeah, because I don't see you having any patience
I have
describing
zero.
an app to a 40-year-old.
No, my mother is really, really bad. Really bad. And she always comes to me first. My brother's a computer analyst, a computer programmer. And I don't understand why she comes to me whenever she has computer phone problems. And it's just the worst. And she gets upset on top of that. It's like, why are you yelling at me? I just don't understand. And I'm like, oh my God.
sounds like
So
my
no,
mother.
I can't do this.
All right.
And you?
I already have
Oh,
lived it.
you're
so,
doing the marriage divorce
yeah,
one?
I'm okay
Moshe,
with that.
you didn't tell us.
Oh, well, I'm going to try to beat the system by just marrying and divorcing my own wife and just remarrying her just so that I don't have to deal with
Does
the
it-
other
Does she
stuff.
watch
It's a
every
different
episode?
A different person.
It's
If
a
she
different
does,
person.
He
that's
always
that's
wants
a
to
smart answer.
play to your wife.
No, but
every
it's wrong.
That's a
every
smart
single.
answer.
She watches
If she
the show. What do you want me
So
to
you
do?
have to. His wife makes him say that.
She
Right.
listens to the
That's
show.
why I
He
know
goes
she's
home and
man.
takes his
She's an
man.
asshole.
Yeah.
Divorce a new person.
Yeah, no,
Oh, I
you
thought it
can't.
didn't
You
say
can't
a
have
new
your wife.
person.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right.
You know what? Every day I wake up, it's like my wife is a new person.
All right,
It's
on
like I met
that-
her
on
for the
that
first
note,
time.
My
Enough.
wife too. Hey, look, I want to say
Valentine's
every
Day is
day
coming
the
up,
same way
so
with my wife.
happy
Same
Valentine's
thing
Too
with
many
Jeff.
married people on this panel.
And yet the single women tell us how life is.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right.
single people out there should be paying
How
attention.
it could be.
For Crystal Rich, Roxy Romeo, Jeff Mosher, I'm Eitan Shander, and of course Brian Westbrook. It's all for the record.
1, 2.